Okay, part three of what's was supposed to be just a part one, but the more I'm talking, more I'm seeing the information that there is and stuff. And so on this one, we're gonna remember again our wound, and so it's really important that it heals from bottom up and then from side down, just like a lake, just like a lake in the winter. So the ice forms over here, and then slowly it builds there, and then suddenly your skin, like the wound that I have over here, it never broke down, never reopened, never had complication with it, but that's what I did. I healed it up this way. So now, because we're talking about wound management, that means you don't need to learn about wound suture. You don't need so much to close wounds or things like that. You'll still see, for example, we'll talk a little bit in wound closure and why I do carry it. I still carry a staple gun in my my kit, but it's for a different purpose. But if you do just wound management, you can do an awesome job, and yet not needed to learn about suture, because a lot of time in videos you're like, oh, suture, 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 but this is just wound closure. But if you can do wound management much better without proper, like not as much training, and you can do actually less damage than if you close. Because imagine now, or remember about our little three bears story. Well, if I close this and I got bacteria in there, now I just left this nice little bed for them to grow in there. And so this is a little bit on the fancy, and now I can increase my bacterial load. And so which brings us to a concept that's quite important to understand. And it's a continuum. And now I'm going to go in very high-tech stuff. A sheet of paper with line. I'm telling you guys, I'm very high-tech lately. And so, wound, and I'll put again the definition at the bottom of that video here. There's four terms that, if this would be an infection, if this would be an infection, there is 3 steps before you get to an infection wound, and it's really important to understand that, because a lot of time people will put a lot of stuff on their wounds because, oh, my wound's going to be infected. We all live with bacteria. Right now I got bacteria all over me, and they've been living all around us and everything. And some live in what we call symbiosis, so some, like, they will never harm us. And some others, they're dangerous, but because our skin is protecting us, they're not so bad. And actually, for example, another one, some of the ones that we have in our stomach is safe in the stomach, but if it gets to a wound, it's different. So for example, if I have an injury near my anus, well, if I'm having diarrhea or something, now the bacteria that comes out can go into the wound, and now it can be bad, because in the digestive tract it's not bad, but in the wound it's very bad. And so it's really not that black and white stuff when it comes to bacteria. So we are dirty. We are dirty. Sorry to break your bubble, but we have germs all over us all the time. There's some that are pretty good and some that don't. And it's really, I really want to spend some time on that concept, because a lot of products out there, or a lot of people will say, like, oh, kill all the bacteria, like for example the antimicrobial soaps that we have and everything. They are sometimes, even, I think my perspective is that sometimes they'll create more damage than they did. We have some problems now where we call those superbugs in the hospital, and they have been created by us because we were so afraid. Like penicillin, they used to put them in your cereals in the 50s because it was a great drug. Well, then the bacteria became resistant to it, And there's a lot of other stuff too. Then after that, we started to clean everything, trying to cleanse everything and make it all like operation room. And then next thing you know, we were having superbugs because the bugs were getting resistant to most of the stuff we were using, disinfecting everything. So we have to be careful about what we put in stuff and how when we use it. The first one that I would talk about is those antimicrobial triple ointment. On an acute wound, it seems like the jury's, well, not the jury, it doesn't seem to do too much damage. But in triple ointment antibiotics, I mean there's 3 antibiotics in it, they're not quite sure if the antibiotic have any help. And we'll see why when I go back to this. But they think it's more because it keeps the wound a little bit moist. And so Vaseline basically would do exactly the same thing. But I don't know if in the literature review, I don't know if I read one that says the other. And so trying to kill all bacteria is impossible. So right from the start, we're going to go with this. So when you cut yourself, so when you cut the superficial or down, so your skin was protecting you, and then suddenly this barrier is out. So all the stuff that you have on your skin or in the air, whatever, can get into this wound. So the first step over here, so I'll write numbers actually, 1, 2, and 3, and this would be step 4. So the first step, so number 1, it's called wound contamination, and that's what I just told you. That so basically we get a whole bacteria flora that lives all in your skin and everything, and it's now in your wound because you have a breakdown in your skin, in your container, it went in, they're in. But that doesn't mean that your body cannot fight them, and that doesn't mean that they're going to impair the healing of your wound, and actually it can even maybe help, because the body is a stupid intelligent machine, and it always reacts the same way. It will attack, which is usually inflammation. That's the signs of inflammation. You're going to see the redness and that stuff. It's that if there's something that needs to be taken out of the body, will go and boom, will attack. And so those bacteria going there kind of promote wound healing, because it starts bringing a whole bunch of stuff to create this special soup that we need for the skin to close up. So the body is doing its own healing at this point, but it's not impeding this healing process. Step 2, so on our line here, at step 2, we're starting to talk about colonization. So what happened is now the body was not able to either fight it back, or there was too much, or there was like some very nasty bugs that they couldn't get rid of. So at stage 2, we have what we call colonization, and at that point it's quite different. Now at this point it is starting to maybe impede a little bit the healing process, but not, again, we're not there yet that we need to get the big guns and start helping the body maybe be able to help himself and everything. At step 3, we have what they call the critical colonization, and it's starting to there's different terms, and that's where we start talking about biofilm, and they're starting to discover a little bit what it is and everything. And we'll do part 4, and we'll talk about the biofilm and what to look for in the wound.